from DVWA, whatever we have covered, or anything that we discussed before that?
No, no.
No. Okay. So, are you guys able to practice, you know, whatever we have covered?
Uh, Anshul, yeah, I was able to do the brute force and all,
Okay.
but I just wanted the videos, Anshul. I spoke to Yogita, but she did not give the link yet because
Okay.
you
What did?
have gone through a lot of things. So for us to practice at home,
Hmm.
yeah, the video will be very helpful.
Okay, I'll give it to you at the end of the session.
Yeah, please.
What did they tell you when you asked for the link?
She said she will give over email, but she did not yet give.
Okay, over email.
Yeah.
So we just boot this up and then we pick up DVWA from where we left off. So then we begin with the starting our database. Then we start the web server. Now let's go to our DVWA instance. Okay, host and DVWA. We're not using Bob on this app. So CSRF is what we had begun talking about yesterday. Now first let's see the normal functionality of this thing. So I'm going to type a new password here for the currently logged in account. Confirm new password. Change. Password changed. So let me check if this is working now. Okay, so the password was changed. And another thing that says it did not make any kind of validation. It did not perform any kind of checking before it allowed us to directly change the password. So all you need to do is have a new password, just write it twice, you click on change, and that's it, the password is changed. Now if I take a look at the source code for this, now this is what I need, this login form, actually not the login form, but this form which asks for the password. I can simply copy this, and what I'll do is I'll create a new file. So this is our file. The first thing we do is we paste our code in this. Now let's make a slight change to this page. This break as well. This line input type. Now I'm not keeping it as a password input. I'm going to keep it as a hidden input now. So this will not appear on the screen. And I'm going to set a value for this. Value is equal to, and I can type whatever password I want, whatever I want the new password to be. Let's just keep it as new pass. Same thing here. And in this submit button, I'll change the value for this button. As currently, if you come back here, the button says simply change. Now I want to change the value for the button. I'll simply say value is equal to, now I could enter anything here that might lure the user to click this button, or I could simply post this as a free landing page. So I could say click here to continue or something. But let's say actually, it's better if I write it like this. Remove this break as well. Now we have modified our form. See that. So if I try opening this with the Firefox, you get a link which says, you actually get a button which says click here to win $500. Now this is a simple page. We've not added a lot of stuff to it. We've kept it simple for now. So click here to win $500, and what would happen is if I click on this, then let's see what happens. Okay, currently the form action is not performing form action. Let's see what's after this. Now we are going to use burp. We are going to check something. Let's just for a moment here see what URL we get. Now see in this case, when you are entering this password to change, it's also being reflected in your URL itself. So even from there, you can see that the password is changing. So there is one thing we also need to add to our form actually in order to make this a successful CSRF thing. So okay, currently this is incorrect HTML actually. I need to add a couple of things which I'll do.
सर स्क्रीन नहीं दिखाई दे रही.
स्क्रीन नहीं दिखाई दे रही अच्छा
नहीं.
Okay, so what I'm doing is actually for any HTML document, there is a format you need to follow, and there is an HTML head and a body. So without that, the syntax would be incorrect. Let's just remedy that here. Any content which is a part of our web page would be in the body, and anything like the title of the page would be in the head. Title, let's say, uh, this is you put 22. Now we need to specify something here in the form action to tell it where to go after we click this. So for that, I need to specify HTTP, and since we are on the local host itself, DVWA. Let me check the DVWA, and then you have vulnerabilities and CSRF. CSRF. So this is where we need it to be. and the changed password would be called new pass. The button that the user sees will be in the form of this submit button. It says click here to win. Now let's save this. Okay, so this is the link. Now, what would happen is if I were to click on this link, it's asking us to, okay, it's asking us to log in because we use DVW, sorry, we used 127.0.1 here, and the other instance we're using that local host. That can also show a difference. Now, this would not happen in case this is on a public IP, because sometimes it actually differentiates between the IP and the word when you simply use the word localhost itself. Anyway, that's not an issue. Now, if I click here, I get redirected to this page and I get the message that the password has been changed. So let's see whether it actually got changed. So this is the new password. Okay. New password is new pass, which is what we mentioned here, new pass. So let's try logging with that and WPA login. And you can see that we were able to log in with that password. So in a CSRF attack, what you do is you try to present someone with a fake link such as this. Now what it says is click here to win 500. So if someone falls for this, they probably think that they're entering some sort of sweepstakes or some kind of competition, or simply they might be taken to some site where they might have a chance to earn some money. But what is actually happening is behind the scenes, if they take a look at it, they'll see this source code, the one that we modified, and this form is actually submitting these two values to this URL. So when you submit it, what is actually happening is your password is getting changed, and this is happening currently. Let's say yes, we just have the admin account. Whatever user is logged in, their password will get changed. Okay, in a realistic scenario, if you were to present this to someone, okay, you probably need some kind of little bit of social engineering, and you would present this link and get them to click it. So they'll click thinking it's something else, but in reality, what's happening is their password gets changed. So this is cross-site request forgery, that you're tricking someone into clicking a link, which you're tricking an authenticated user into clicking a link which performs some kind of malicious action on their account. And since they are already authenticated, the website thinks, the web server thinks that okay, this person actually genuinely wanted to do this action, like maybe changing the password in this case, or it could be anything else. If you are able to make use of such an issue or such a vulnerability, or if you are able to use this attack on a bank website, you could create someone. You could make someone transfer money to your account or something, or you can have someone delete their account. So lots of things that you can do with that. This is how basically your CSRF attack works. You trick a user into clicking a link, but to the website it appears that you know the user is authenticated, so they actually wanted to make that change, or they actually wanted to perform the action, which I mean whatever that happens when they click. In this case, it's a password change. You view the source code. All it's checking for is whether the passwords match or not. So whether your new password and confirmed password value is matching or not. That's all it's checking. And keep one more thing in mind. There's also a view help button here. So in case when you're practicing and you feel that you're stuck on this, you can also click on the view help button, and it is going to give you with some details that can help you with your attack. Now let's change this security level. I'm going to close this for now. Okay, let's just keep it open. No real issues. Medium, submit. Okay, actually I don't need to go to this page right now. If I click this right now, again it's saying password. Uh, that's the issue here with 127.0.0.1 as well. I'll just close this. You can see it's not changing this value. I'll go to the command line. Let me just close this session once. We'll try again. Go there. Okay, it's finally taking it as medium. Sometimes this can happen with DWA. This has been an error that they haven't been able to fix for ages now. Okay, anyway, that's something else. Now just let's open this again with Firefox. If I click on this now, instead of password changed, take a look at what it's saying now. It's saying that that request didn't look correct. So let's compare two requests in our browser. One where we use this page form directly, and the other when we use the other page. Okay, so to compare the requests, you can simply capture them in Burp. Okay, so Burp is open, intercept is on. Let's go. The request should have appeared here in Burp, and it has. Let's send this to comparer. For now, I'm going to drop it. Since we dropped it, it's giving us an error. No worries. Now we are going to compare the two requests. First, I need to first copy this one as well. Actually, sorry, intercept this one as well, and then send to comparer. Drop it. If you drop a packet, if you drop a request, it is not going to be sent to the server. So keep that in mind. Let's go back to comparer. So we are comparing both these requests. The first thing that it's saying is these passwords are changed. Of course, that's something we know. But take a look at the other thing that is different here. There is this referrer field in our original request, in the request that is going when we are directly doing it via DBWA's interface. There is an HTTP header known as referrer in our request, but there is nothing like that in this request that is being sent from our spoofed page or fake page that we made. So in order to get this to work, we need to add this header. And the referrer does not have to be this exact value, but it needs to be coming from this, this host itself. So that is what we are going to do. So CSRF and going back to proxy, turn intercept on, press A in both cases. I click on change. Now I have intercepted that request. I'll simply copy this referrer header, drop this packet, go to our page, click this, and add that header in this request. Now if I forward this, so we are getting password change now. So if I click on this view source, you can see that it's checking whether the request is coming from a proper source or not. So it's checking the referrer. So without that field, it's not going to allow you to perform a password change. But of course, a referrer can always be added. It's simply an HTTP header which you can add to your request in case one is not present. Okay, so that's how we got past this. Now for the high level, again, I'm telling you, try this at, try this by yourself, see what you get, and practice these other two as well. So this will give you a better idea for CSRF. Any questions? Any queries?
No.
No? Okay. So this is CSRF cross-site request forgery that we just saw. Now we've covered brute force, command injection, CSRF, and up to file upload we have completed. Okay, so let's come to cross-site scripting now. Security level I'll just change to low first. Just turn off for now and go back here. So it's asking us, what's your name? Okay, let's just say my name is Bob. So what is the output going to be? Hello, Bob. It's simply giving that to us as an output. Okay, now cross-site scripting is when you are using an input field like this to insert some value, insert a script that runs and gives like you some output, or basically it is executing whatever script you have entered and performing some unintended action on the website whenever a user visits that website or that web page. So cross-site scripting, of course, it has multiple forms: reflected, stored, and DOM. Reflected is when you use cross-site scripting, you send whatever you have created, whatever link you have created, you send it to someone. When they load that page, they'll see the effect of it in their browser. When we talk about stored, of course, I'll come to that and explain the difference as well. For now, let's just see what cross-site scripting is, how it works. Instead of Bob, what if I typed here some HTML code? Does that work? So that's working. I typed the HTML code for making it bold, and it has appeared in bold. So what this means is that there is no validation of input. Whatever we are entering, it's simply executing that. Okay, if I enter this, the difference is clearer now. This word is in bold. So we're able to enter anything we want in this case, and that code will be reflected back to us here. So let's say we try to insert a script. Now we start by simple scripts: alert, one, script, submit. So it showed up an alert with the value 1. Now, of course, this alert is not very particularly useful to us because it's not giving us any information. But we can use this kind of alert to steal cookies. And let's see how that happens. I say alert document dot cookie, remove the alert from here. So it's going to output the cookie that is stored for this browser session. And you can see this is all being reflected in the URL. So if I were to send this URL to someone else, let's say if I were to send such a crafted URL to someone else and they were to run this in their browser, then they would also be seeing alerts like this. But of course,
हेलो
that is not, yes.
सर, जैसे हमने ये कुकी निकाली है, कुकी आ गई अपने पास, तो इस कुकी को
हाँ।
कॉपी मतलब ये जो अपना एड्रेस बार है ऊपर, इसके अंदर भी सेम कुकी आएगी?
एड्रेस बार में अलग से थोड़ी ना कोई कुकी आ
हाँ,
रही है,
नहीं
जो आपको
वही,
अलर्ट दिख रहा है वो आ
हाँ
रहा
हमें अलर्ट आ रहा है, अलर्ट में से कॉपी कैसे करेंगे कुकी को?
है। अलर्ट में से सीधा कॉपी कर लो, उसमें क्या है, ये अलर्ट जैसे रन हुआ,
सबमिट हुआ,
सबमिट, क्या हो रहा है, इसको तो
ये
सिंपली
आ
कॉपी।
गई, यहाँ से हो जाएगा ऐसे? अच्छा, सेलेक्ट हो जाता है, ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है, मैं समझ गया। फिर तो सर हम उससे किसी का भी वो कुकी से तो वैसे भी लॉगिन खुल जाता है डायरेक्ट।
हाँ, कुकी से आप किसी का सेशन
इसे
हाईजैक
तो
कर सकते
हाँ,
हैं। तो एक्सेस या क्रॉस साइट स्क्रिप्टिंग एक तरीका तो आपका ये है। रिफ्लेक्टेड मतलब कि आप अगर किसी को लिंक भेज रहे हो तभी ये काम करेगा, तभी इस तरह की स्क्रिप्टिंग काम करेगी। अदरवाइज अगर नॉर्मली वो यूजर इस पेज को एक्सेस कर रहा है तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा। नॉर्मली वो पेज को एक्सेस कर पाएगा और यूज करेगा। बट आप अगर ऐसे अपनी तरफ से क्राफ्ट करके भेज रहे हो, if you are crafting a link yourself, only then this kind of scripting is going to work. Now this is just a couple of examples of what you can do with this cross-site scripting. If I want, I can make the web page load some malicious script that I may have hosted on some server of mine, and that will run within the victim's browser. That script could be anything, you know. It could be stealing some data, it could be stealing cookies, it could be a minor Bitcoin mining script that would run on their system. It could be anything that I wanted to insert. There are a lot of options when it comes to scripting. So this is one example of cross-site scripting because there is no input validation happening here. If I take a look at the source code, Let's try the same thing again, see whether it works. Now in this case it's not working. Okay, instead of running the script, it's simply showing us this alert document.cookie as part of the output. There are, of course, other kinds of cross-site scripting payloads as well. Let's try those. So this is working. What we used was image source is equal to X, on error is equal to alert 1. On error is since we are not providing it any source, it's going to give us an error loading the image. And what happens is in that part we specify that if an error happens, we want you to give me an alert. So on error is equal to alert 1. So that is working. Let's see the source code and see what they are doing in this case. Now there is some kind of validation, very basic level. What they're doing is they're replacing the word script with an empty string. So this exact thing is getting replaced. But there are ways to get even around that. I can use the word script even though this validation is there. Can anyone tell me what I'm going to do for that? Or can anyone, does anyone have an idea of how I would be doing that? Even if you have a guess, you can do that. I will be using the word script and still I'll be able to bypass this validation.
ग्रेटर देन सिंबल से मतलब स्टार्ट करके स्क्रिप्ट लिखेंगे उसके बाद।
हाँ वो भी कर सकते हैं।
उससे भी
उसमें
हो
आपको कुछ एक्स्ट्रा कैरेक्टर्स आप ऐड कर रहे हो, है ना? चलो देखते हैं किस तरीके से उसको कर सकते हैं। इन्होंने कहा है कि ये चीज जो है ये एग्जैक्ट चीज हो रही है रिप्लेस, ठीक है? तो स्क्रिप्ट तो रिप्लेस हो जाएगा। ओके नहीं ऐसे नहीं कर सकता ना, ये चीज तो पूरी रिप्लेस हो जाएगी। एक चीज तो हम ये ट्राई कर सकते हैं, कोई गारंटी नहीं है काम करेगी या नहीं, देखते हैं। लेट्स सी क्या होता है। ओके सो इन दिस केस नहीं काम किया, और भी तरीके हैं। चलो इन्होंने ये मना किया ना, लेकिन इसके लिए तो कुछ नहीं कहा। Get mom response. Okay, so this is working because this validation that they are performing is not adequate. They're just replacing the lowercase one. If I type it completely in uppercase, I am able to bypass that. I also have another option here. I can simply type it like this. And again, it's going to work. There is yet another way, even another way to do this. And there's a concept of HTML entities. This less than and greater than symbol that we're using here. So they can be expressed in different terms. Let's say and, LT, and less than, and semicolon. This represents less than symbol. After that, if I write script and GT greater than symbol, and after that I write alert one simply. This may or may not work with every situation. Let's try though. Okay, so in this case that is not working because it's converting those into the actual parameters before the validation. But in some cases that might work as well. And of course, we have a lot of different kinds of payloads like the one I showed with the image one. Body onload is equal to alert one. So that says when the HTML body loads, just run this code, and what we are running is alert, and that's giving us an alert. So this is what is happening in the medium security level. Let's check out high. If I use this, does this work? Let's check. Okay, that is not working in this case. Let's try the other ones. So this works. Even here, they don't have adequate protections against this attack. All they are doing is they are replacing any characters that they find from the word script. That's all. They're not checking for other kinds of payloads. Now, if I were to use body alert is equal to document dot post, host name is undefined. Okay. Okay, yeah, not document dot. So if you use this option location dot host name, you will get the IP address of that device. Now, currently, I'm just running this on a local system, so it's telling me that the IP is 127.0.0.1. But if you get this information on a someone's PC, if you send them a link like this, okay, all of whatever you are doing is reflected in this link. And if you go there and if you give this link to someone, you can also get their IP address using that. Now this is known as reflected because we are reflecting this script off of the website to the actual server. So our script, when the execution happens, first it goes to the server and that is reflected from the server to the victim. That's why it's known as reflected. Now let's talk about stored. Now both of these, reflected cross-site scripting as well as stored cross-site scripting, both of these are quite serious. Okay, so this is what we're getting from when we did at the previous, when I must have last done it. So I will just go into this. Reset database. Okay, so the password is also has the password has also been reset in this case. Now let's go to the stored XSS, stored cross-site scripting. Okay, so the database has been reset. But security level, let me just change it to low. Now in stored cross-site scripting, what happens is whatever your malicious payload is, whatever your cross-site scripting payload is, it gets stored in some database. This database, whatever is present on the website, your cross-site scripting payload is getting stored in that database. And whoever is going to access the page where your database output will be shown, they'll all be affected by your payload. So the payload will run on everyone's system who accesses that page. Now, in this example that they have given, this is some guest book that you can enter some information into. Say name is test, message is also test. So the first thing we need to do is check, whether it's working or there's some issue. Okay, so it's working. Now let's try doing some cross-site scripting. So again, we start with the basic. Okay, now the thing is, this has a fixed length. I think that's why it's not letting us type any more things. Okay, no worries. Let's try it here. In this case, it's not working. Let us, oh, actually, this page is not loading properly. There's no view source option. That's strange. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so it's running now, and whoever visits this page will see this kind of an alert pop up on the system. Actually, this is not really what you would want in an attack. This is just to demonstrate. So our cross-site scripting is has been stored. Now, whenever this page is visited by anyone, that payload is going to run on their browsers. It's going to run when they access this web page. You see, I don't have to enter that payload again and again. Just once it's stored, it will run every time the page is accessed by anyone because it has been stored here. So I view the source code, what I'll see is they're not actually doing any kind of validation. So our cross-site scripting is working. Let's change the security level in this case. Again, let's say Bob. Let's see if this works this time. So in this case, it's not going to work. Let's try another payload. Okay, so that's not working either. Let's see what changes have been made to the source. This looks like the same. Okay, it's stripping all the tags that it finds. Let's try one more. So in this case, we are not able to run anything here. For the name, we are running into an issue that the length is limited. So our payload cannot fit into the limited amount of characters that are allowed there. So does anyone have any kind of suggestions as to what we are going to do in this case? Does anyone have any guesses for that? No? Okay. See, what we can do is, if I look at this name and event, if I just inspect this, max length is 10. So it says that it's not going to allow more than 10 characters. But this is just something that's been done on the client side. I just remove this parameter here. Now if I try entering something, sign yes book. This script tag is still not working. Let's try something else. So it's working now. And instead of the message field, we simply use the name field to insert our payload, to inject our XSS cross-site scripting payload. And since this is stored, it should work whenever you access the page. So whenever someone accesses the page, this is going to work. And there is also another way to get past this. This is only being done on the client side. There is another way which you can use to get past this. Can anyone think of what that might be? No? We have all seen burp suit.
Yeah.
So with burp suit, what I could do is, let's just do it and see. I could intercept the request and make any changes I want to the request itself. Intercept is on. Okay. Sign guest book. We see the request in burp. Now this is the name and this is the message. So for the name, if I simply change it here, okay, I do the same thing. Script. It's not. Oh yeah. If I send this, so first the earlier payload ran, then the next one ran, which was location.hostname. Alert location.hostname, so that gives you the IP. So both the payloads ran. So let's try changing the difficulty level now to high. Submit. Let's go back to this. Will I be able to do the same thing again? Let's try. No, cannot do that. Now let's see what changes are present in this source code. So again, what they are doing is they are actually removing any instance of the word script here. But what we can do is Then we have our other payloads here. So we can use those instead. So other payloads are working. Just the script ones, which are the most common kind of payloads, those are not working, but you can simply replace them with the body on load or image source, and you can run whatever you want there. So we are able to bypass this level of security here as well. Any questions, any queries, any doubts?
हाई लेवल का कैसे किया हमने? स्टोर्ड में सबसे हाई अभी अभी का कैसे किया पेलोड?
देखो मीडियम लेवल वाला क्लियर है कैसे किया?
हाँ
ठीक है, तो हाई में भी हमने सेम चीज की। पहले तो ये जो नेम फील्ड है, अब क्योंकि मैक्स लेंथ ये सब तो सिर्फ क्लाइंट साइड पे ही काम करता है, एचटीएमएल कोड। एचटीएमएल की तो कोई भी वैलिडेशन सिर्फ क्लाइंट साइड पे काम करती है। हमने इसको सिंपली हटा दिया यहाँ से। अगर आप ऐसे कुछ चेंज कर देते हो, जो आपका कोई भी लोडेड वेब पेज है, तो वो एक्चुअल वेब पेज के बिहेवियर में आपको रिफ्लेक्ट हो जाएगा। मतलब सर्वर साइड पे जो वेब पेज का कोड है वो चेंज नहीं होगा, बट आपके इंस्टेंस में जो चल रहा है वो चेंज हो जाएगा। तो यहाँ हमने क्या किया, इसमें मैक्स लेंथ था वो हटा दिया पहले तो, और सिंपली स्क्रिप्ट अलर्ट हम यूज कर रहे थे। अब स्क्रिप्ट इन्होंने ऐसे सैनिटाइज किया इनपुट को कि स्क्रिप्ट वर्ड अगर आप कहीं भी डालोगे वो हट जाएगा, तो वो चीज़ काम नहीं करेगी यहाँ पे। लेकिन हमारे पास और भी पेलोड्स हैं। बॉडी ऑन लोड इज इक्वल टू अलर्ट, जो हमने पहले देखा था, या इमेज सोर्स इज इक्वल टू, चलो इमेज सोर्स वाला ट्राई करते हैं। अभी हमने बॉडी ऑन लोड ट्राई किया था। इमेज सोर्स इज इक्वल टू एक्स। ये इमेज टैग तब यूज होता है जब आप कोई इमेज डाल रहे हो अपने HTML कोड में, जब अपने वेब पेज में, अपनी वेबसाइट में कोई इमेज इंसर्ट कर रहे हो, और उसका सोर्स इससे डिफाइन होता है SRC इज इक्वल टू जो भी लोकेशन है उसकी। यहाँ हम सिंपली देते हैं सोर्स इज इक्वल टू एक्स, मतलब कोई सोर्स हम प्रोवाइड नहीं कर रहे। और ऑन एरर इज इक्वल टू, यानी कि अगर इसको लोड करने में कोई एरर आता है तो क्या रन होना चाहिए, ऑन एरर इज इक्वल टू अलर्ट 1। तो एरर आएगा ही आएगा, हमने सोर्स तो प्रोवाइड किया नहीं है इमेज का। मैसेज, सिंपली कोई मैसेज देना ही नहीं मुझे। मैं इसको अगर यहाँ पे साइन गेस्ट बुक कर दूं तो ये भी रन हुआ है।
गॉट इट सर।
Got it? Got it. So they've implemented check, they've implemented a check, they've implemented validation. In case the word script occurs somewhere in your input, but if that is not the case, there is no validation present for other payloads, which can be then easily executed. So that is your reflected cross-site scripting. Sorry, that is your stored cross-site scripting, and it is. Is it clear to you all why it is called stored cross-site scripting? Is that clear?
यस सर।
Yes. Okay. What do you think is more, uh, you know, critical or more malicious, reflected or stored? Which form of cross-site scripting would be more of an issue?
रिफ्लेक्टेड।
Reflected. Why?
क्योंकि इस सर्वर में मतलब हम चेंज कर सकते हैं ना, सर्वर के कोड में।
नहीं, सर्वर के कोड में तो आप कुछ भी नहीं चेंज कर सकते। रिफ्लेक्टेड क्रॉस साइट स्क्रिप्टिंग आप सर्वर के कोड में नहीं चेंज कर रहे हो कुछ भी। आप सिर्फ अगर कुछ रिफ्लेक्टेड, अगर वो सर्वर में कोई भी ऐसी इनपुट फील्ड है जो वल्नरेबल है रिफ्लेक्टेड क्रॉस साइट स्क्रिप्टिंग को, तो आप उसका यूज करके कोई मैलिशियस लिंक क्राफ्ट करके भेज सकते हो अपने विक्टिम को, अपने टारगेट को। और उसके सिस्टम में वो मैलिशियस स्क्रिप्ट रन करेगी, और जो भी, जब आपने जो भी दिया होगा स्क्रिप्ट में, वो एग्जीक्यूट होगा। लेकिन स्टोर्ड में क्या है, स्टोर्ड में आप एक्चुअली अपना क्रॉस साइट स्क्रिप्टिंग पेलोड उनके डेटाबेस में स्टोर कर रहे हो वेबसाइट पे। तो जो भी उसको एक्सेस करेगा, जहां भी उस डेटाबेस का आउटपुट आ रहा है उस वेबसाइट में, उस वेब पेज को जो भी विजिट करेगा, उसके ब्राउजर में वो चीज़ रन हो जाएगी। इसलिए स्टोर ज़्यादा क्रिटिकल है। हालांकि ये दोनों ही बहुत क्रिटिकल वर्नेबिलिटीज हैं। क्रॉस साइट स्क्रिप्टिंग काफ़ी सीरियस वर्नेबिलिटी, बहुत सीरियस इशू माना जाता है। पर स्टोर थोड़ा ज़्यादा क्रिटिकल होता है, बिकॉज वो हर किसी को अफेक्ट करता है जो भी उसको एक्सेस कर रहा है। क्योंकि अच्छा, इनके दो और नाम है। रिफ्लेक्टेड cross site scripting is also known as non-persistent cross site scripting because it does not persist. It's only there in case you have added your malicious script to a link and you send that link to some victim or whatever, uh, whoever you are targeting. But a stored cross site scripting is also known as persistent cross site scripting because that payload, that cross site scripting payload gets stored in the database and is going to be there for a while unless, of course, they the admin or whoever is in charge of the website, unless they delete that. So stored is slightly more critical than reflected. Anything else you might want to ask from this? No? Okay.
रियल लाइफ सिनेरियो में आप दिखा सकते हैं क्या वेबसाइट?
रियल लाइफ में क्रॉस साइट स्क्रिप्टिंग नहीं अलाउड होती यार कहीं पे। मतलब कोई बल एथिकल हैकिंग आप जब तक कर रहे हो, आपको कुछ ये ध्यान रखना है कि अगर आप कुछ टेस्ट कर रहे हो तो आपके पास परमिशन होनी चाहिए।
नहीं मतलब बग बाउंटी की वेबसाइट में आपने कभी ढूंढा हो ऐसा कुछ स्क्रीनशॉट?
बग बाउंटी नहीं यार, बग बाउंटीज में कारण मुझे टाइम ही नहीं मिलता था उसका। तो अभी तो मेरे पास कुछ ऐसा लाइव एग्जांपल है नहीं उसका। मैं चेक
क्योंकि
करता हूँ एक दो जगह
मैं,
शायद।
हाँ हाँ
क्योंकि वो तो क्या है, वो होते भी है, वो फिक्स हो जाता है जल्दी।
हाँ, वो तो है। मुझे मतलब नेट स्पार्कर टूल में एक दो बार मिले थे बग, लेकिन उस
अच्छा।
टाइम मुझे प्रूव करना नहीं आता क्योंकि टूल जनरेटेड रिपोर्ट नहीं चलता वहाँ पे।
हाँ, टूल जनरेटेड नहीं चलता, आपको मैन्युअली लिखनी पड़ती है।
हाँ, मैन्युअली नहीं आया था उस टाइम मुझे। उसमें मतलब रिफ्लेक्टेड होगा शायद क्रॉस साइट स्क्रिप्टिंग का बग,
अच्छा।
तो इसलिए पूछा मैं।
कई बार तो इवन प्रोसेस स्क्रिप्टिंग ऐसी होती है जो आपको टूल से रिजल्ट्स मिलता है ना, उसमें कभी कभी ऐसी भी वो बताता है कि अगर आप ऑथेंटिकेटेड हो तो आप यूज कर पाओगे, लेकिन ऑथेंटिकेटेड होने के लिए आपको ऑथराइजेशन या उसमें कोई ऑथराइजेशन बाईपास ढूंढना पड़ेगा या फिर पासवर्ड क्रैक करना पड़ेगा। तो इन दैट केस फिर जब तक आप वो नहीं करते, आप उस वल्नरेबिलिटी तक नहीं पहुंच सकते। काफी बार तो ऐसा भी होता है।
हाँ हाँ, गॉट इट सर।
Okay, so that is your stored and reflected. And okay, we are out of time for the day. So I'll continue with DVWA in the next session on Monday. And if there's any questions, you can ask. If there's any doubts you want to get clarified, you can ask. Otherwise, uh, basically, you are free to leave.